Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion in history, the most feared man in boxing, and in 1992, a convicted rapist. In July 1991, 25-year-old Tyson met 18-year-old Desiree Washington, a contestant in the Miss Black America pageant in Indianapolis. He invited her to his hotel room late at night. She alleged that Tyson raped her. He claimed it was consensual. The case went to trial in early 1992. Washington testified that she said no repeatedly. Medical exams supported her claim. The prosecution presented a timeline and emotional testimony. Tyson didn't testify. His defense team argued it was consensual, but it wasn't enough. On February 10, 1992, Tyson was found guilty of rape and 2 counts of deviant sexual conduct. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison and 4 years probation. He served his sentence at the Indiana Youth Center. Due to good behavior, Tyson was released after 3 years. In March 1995, while inside, he converted to Islam and changed his name to Malik Abdulaziz, though he rarely used it publicly. Before prison, Tyson was 41-1. After prison, he came back swinging. He reclaimed the heavyweight title in 1996, but the magic was gone. He lost to Evander Holyfield. Then came that ear bite. And though he fought until 2005, he never fully returned to form. The conviction shattered his public image. Some still believe he was wrongfully convicted. Others say justice was served. Even Tyson has said, "I deserve to go to prison, just not for that." Jack Johnson. Before Muhammad Ali, before Tyson, Mayweather, or Fury, there was Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion of the world. And in 1913, the US government did everything it could to put him behind bars. In 1912, the US government hit Johnson with a charge under the Mann Act, a law meant to stop immoral transport of women across state lines. The accusation? That Johnson took his white girlfriend, Lucille Cameron, from Pittsburgh to Chicago for immoral purposes. The twist? Lucille said it was consensual and refused to testify. So the feds found another ex-girlfriend, Belle Schreiber, who did testify. Johnson was tried and convicted in 1913. The judge sentenced him to 1 year and 1 day in federal prison. But Johnson wasn't sticking around to serve it. Instead of going to prison, Johnson fled the country. He spent 7 years in exile, fighting exhibitions across Europe, South America, and even Cuba. Eventually, in 1920, he returned to the US, older, slower, and broke, and surrendered. He served 10 months at Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary. By the time he got out, his prime was long gone. The champion who once shocked the world was now in his 40s, washed up and banned from major fights. But Johnson's fight wasn't just in the ring, it was against the system itself. Sonny Liston. Liston didn't choose boxing, he chose survival. Sonny grew up dirt poor, uneducated, and abused. By the time he was a teenager, he'd moved to St. Louis and turned to crime. Muggings, armed robbery, and assault. He was big, intimidating, and always in trouble. In 1950, Sonny was arrested for robbing a gas station at gunpoint. It wasn't his first run-in, but it was his most serious. He was convicted of armed robbery and assault and sentenced to 5 years at Missouri State Penitentiary. He was only in his early 20s, but this was where his life flipped. Inside the prison walls, a Catholic priest named Father Alois Stevens noticed something. Liston had freakish power and raw athleticism. Under the priest's guidance, Liston joined the prison boxing team, and he wasn't just good, he demolished everyone. Word spread. The prison warden helped arrange Liston's early parole in 1952, after just 2 years served. Once free, Liston turned pro in 1953, but the streets didn't let go. He racked up more arrests, assaulting cops, driving without a license, carrying weapons, and behind the scenes, he was tied to mobsters and loan sharks. Even the FBI kept a file on him. Sonny Liston's prison time didn't derail his career, it started it, but the streets stayed in his shadow. Floyd Mayweather. In September 2010, Mayweather got into an altercation with his ex-girlfriend, Josie Harris, at her Las Vegas home. According to police reports, he entered the home uninvited, pulled her by the hair, punched her, and threatened her in front of their children. He was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including domestic battery, harassment, and theft. In December 2011, Floyd took a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to misdemeanor domestic battery and no contest to 2 counts of harassment. In exchange, the felony charges were dropped. The judge sentenced Mayweather to 90 days in jail, 100 hours of community service, and 1 year of domestic violence counseling. He was scheduled to report to jail in early 2012, but Floyd had one request: let me fight first. The judge agreed to delay the sentence so Mayweather could fight Miguel Cotto in May 2012, which he did and won. Floyd began his sentence at the Clark County Detention Center on June 1st, 2012. He was released on August 3rd, 2012, after serving just over 60 days due to good behavior and jail overcrowding. Gervonta Davis. It starts in 2020. Davis was caught on camera grabbing his ex-girlfriend by the throat at a basketball game in Miami. He was arrested and charged with simple domestic battery. The footage went viral. The charges eventually dropped, but the pattern had begun. Next came the big one. In November 2020, Davis ran a red light in Baltimore at 2 a.m. He crashed his Lamborghini into another car, injuring 4 people, including a pregnant woman. He didn't stay to help. He fled the scene. In 2023, he finally pleaded guilty to 4 counts of leaving the scene, driving without a license, and running a red light. His sentence? 90 days house arrest, 3 years probation. But Davis violated the terms of his house arrest by moving into a luxury condo without permission. The judge wasn't having it. In June 2023, Davis was thrown in jail to serve the rest of his sentence, 44 days behind bars. He was released in July 23. He returned to the ring and stayed quiet for a while. June 25, Father's Day. Davis allegedly struck his ex-girlfriend in the head and slapped her in the face, causing visible injuries. She texted her mom, "Tank just hit me again, please help." Security footage supported the report. A warrant was issued. Davis tried to avoid arrest, but on July 11th, 2025, he was picked up in Miami Beach, flagged by license plate recognition. He's now charged with misdemeanor battery causing bodily harm and is being held without bond. Bernard Hopkins. Before he was a legend, before the titles, the records, and the suits, Bernard Hopkins was inmate number YP068. In 1982, at just 17 years old, Bernard Hopkins was living the fast life in North Philly, robbing, dealing, fighting, surviving. That year, he was convicted of armed robbery and several other felonies. He was sentenced to 18 years in Graterford State Penitentiary, one of Pennsylvania's toughest prisons. Graterford wasn't just hard time, it was survival. Hopkins got stabbed, saw inmates die, and realized if he stayed on this path, he wouldn't make it out. He found discipline in the prison gym, and more importantly, he found boxing. Hopkins served nearly 5 years of his sentence, from 1983 to 1988. He was released early for good behavior. As he walked out, a guard told him, "You'll be back." Hopkins' reply, "I ain't ever coming back here," and he never did. Carlos Monzón. In the 1970s, Carlos Monzón was a superstar, but beneath the fame was a dark side: explosive temper, history of violence toward women, and heavy drinking. On February 14th, 1988, during a vacation in Mar del Plata, Monzón got into a fight with his estranged wife, Alicia Muñiz. Witnesses said he beat her, choked her, and pushed her off a second-story balcony with their 6-year-old son in the apartment. Alicia died instantly. Monzón, injured in the fall himself, claimed she jumped, but the evidence told a different story. In 1989, Monzón was convicted of homicide. The charge? Simple intentional homicide, not premeditated but violent. He was sentenced to 11 years in prison. It was a national scandal. Argentina's golden boy was now a convicted murderer. Monzón served about 11 years. Even behind bars, he received special treatment, teaching boxing and even getting weekend furloughs in his final years. But his freedom would be short-lived. On January 8th, 1995, during one of those weekend releases, Monzón died in a car crash while returning to prison. Edwin Valero. Edwin Valero was boxing's most terrifying rising star, until he killed his wife, and then himself. He was so feared in sparring, most top fighters avoided him. He was a wild man, even got banned from fighting in the US for years due to a serious head injury from a motorcycle crash. But what no one could avoid was what came next. Behind closed doors, Valero spiraled. Alcohol and drug abuse, erratic behavior in public, arrests for beating his wife, fights with family, and threats to doctors. In March 2010, he was arrested for assaulting his wife, Jennifer Vieira, and hospitalized for evaluation. He was released with almost no consequences. On April 18th, 2010, Valero's wife was found dead in a hotel room in Valencia, Venezuela, stabbed multiple times. Valero reportedly confessed to hotel staff, "I killed her." He was arrested on the spot and placed in a jail cell. The next morning, just hours later, Valero was found dead in his cell, hanged with his own clothes, just 28 years old. There was no trial, no redemption, no comeback. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel because I'm going to keep posting these types of boxing videos more frequently. Thanks for watching, guys.